How have you been coping? Have you been okay this whole time?
Yeah, I'm quite lucky. I do live at home with my parents and my brother because
Yeah.
I'm a PhD student. I don't have a life to begin with, so I am lucky that I'm surrounded by support and I'm not isolated. So I've been quite lucky in that all my work can be done online and virtually, and I'm able to work from home and continue my work. So for me, I've been very lucky, but it's been very hard on like even like my own colleagues, friends who are living alone, isolated, can't see their family that live across the country. So yeah, I feel very bad for those people, for my friends and colleagues going through
Yeah,
that.
same. I mean, do you work with a lot of people with what you do?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I also am a teaching assistant, so I was dealing with, hundreds of students all through the year virtually. They've been struggling a lot as well, undergrad students, especially those who, had to leave home and can't go back home, and are dealing with online learning, which is very hard university level. Um, my own colleagues, both in my program and who I work with at the university. Yeah, so a lot of different people being affected in different ways. And this is actually my first time doing a podcast
No
of
way.
myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't do this kind of stuff normally. I'm behind the scenes. So thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How are you finding it so far then? Are you nervous or excited? How are you finding it?
No, I'm not nervous. See, the thing is, I'm used to being behind a camera because
Mm.
all year I've had to pivot to Zoom. So I've been
Yeah.
doing workshops I train TAs. I also, will teach courses and on Zoom. So I've been in front of the camera all year now. So I feel like
Yeah.
I've gotten a good practice.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I remember when I first started, I was really nervous about the whole thing. I
Yeah,
was really excited, but I didn't realize how hard it actually was until I got started.
yeah.
Then when you get
There's
into the
so
flow
much
of
to
it,
it.
oh my God, to tell me about it. I remember my first episode was a short one, only about 10 minutes long or so, 10, 20 minutes. But it took me,
Hmm.
I think, 5 hours or 6 hours to do that first
Yeah.
episode because I kept getting it wrong. I want it to be perfect. I'm sure you're the same way. You want to be a perfectionist, don't you?
Yes. And sometimes you just have to let it go.
Exactly. You have to let it
It's the same thing
go.
with everything, right? Even the way you write things, you want it to be amazing, and you just have to let that go.
Mm,
I think the pandemic has taught us that we're under such time pressure now, with so many
definitely.
things going on that we've had to just rethink the way we go about doing things.
Yeah. I mean, how have you found that transition from going, say, working from person to person in classrooms to all Zoom now?
Really hard. I'm very much used to being around people all the time. I'm used to being on campus all the time. Working with different music communities in person with different like age groups, working with students, and now I'm just like always home. I haven't seen anybody really besides, neighbors from afar when walking the dog. So I really miss that socialness.
Mm,
I'm a big social person in that way. Um, I also miss being able to like talk to people face to face, and there's a different value to it.
of
But I
course.
will say that I am learning that there are some aspects of the online world that are really good.
Mm,
You're able to communicate and meet people from around the world, like we are, for example, that
yeah.
we wouldn't have gotten an opportunity before had it not been probably for the pandemic or technology. A lot of in the academic world, conferences are a big way to connect and mobilize.
Mm,
And, often PhD students and master students, we love to go to conferences that are like, in Europe and,
yeah.
and it costs money. And if you don't get funding, you can't afford to go. And usually it's just a face-to-face setting. But because of the pandemic, all the conferences from around the world have all gone digitally. And it's actually allowed people to afford to be able to attend and allow them to have these connections they wouldn't have had before. And there's a lot of
Mm,
talk in the academic community that conferences, we're going to go back to a face-to-face, we'll have face-to-face settings, but we'll still stream it live and allow people who can't attend to still be part of it and still be able to make connections and listen to people and maybe give their own talk that
I-
they wouldn't have been able to before. So it is changing the way that we are doing things. So there is some value there. I think it's important
definitely.
to know.
I mean, did you go to a lot of them beforehand, before the pandemic hit?
I didn't go to the ones that were like were quite a lot of traveling. I went to some
Yeah.
that were within Ontario and within Canada. Like we have two main universities here. There's Ottawa U and Carleton, so we'd go to each other's conferences. But that was the most of it, right? As a grad student,
Mm,
you're very limited in your
yeah.
time and
Yeah.
money for traveling. It's not something that's very easy to do. But a lot of colleagues of mine, love to travel before they go to New York, they go to London, like for all these conferences. But again, very time consuming and expensive.
Oh, I can imagine because I know how many there are. There's so many, isn't there? Especially within the music field as well. Because you obviously
Yes.
studying music, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like a specific kind of area that you're studying at the moment in music as a PhD student?
Yeah, so I'm in a program at Carleton University called Cultural Mediations,
Mm.
and it's an interdisciplinary program that really looks at 4 different areas of art. So there's art history, literature, there's like the digital culture, and then there's music. So I've obviously chosen the music route, and it's really a way of looking at music and how music mediates society in different socio and cultural ways. So a lot of people assume that, oh, you're doing a PhD in a music related field, you must be looking at notations, or you're looking at how music is made and you look at like different scores. I
Mm.
do not know how to read music.
Yeah.
I was never classically trained. I'm self-taught musician. Never took formal lessons. I'm really interested in the social and cultural aspects of music
Mm.
making, particularly in community-based settings.
Mm.
So I'm looking at, for my own research, I'm looking at the way the pandemic has forced us to do these community music activities online through synchronous sessions like Zoom.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, we are going to be going towards a time post COVID where we are going to be having this hybrid approach to everything. We're going to still have face to face opportunities, but we'll also be offering online things for many reasons, right?
Mm.
So I think it's important that we understand how music making can still be accessible and done online. So I'm hoping to sort of carve out through case studies how music making, how you can create a community and a feel of community from your own home with other people.
Mm. Sounds
So that's what I'm
amazing.
trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, when did you start it originally? Was it like literally this past year, or was it even before the pandemic hit?
So my research has taken quite a turn. So I'm in my 4th year of my
Okay.
of my studies, and prior to that, I know it's a bit different, but in Canada and North America, for the most part, we do like the first 2 years, you do like intensive coursework and exams. So you're not focused on a particular research area. You're just doing intensive coursework and exams that you hope will help your research. So only in year 3 did I start putting together, my dissertation. And I was originally working with a local community arts project with youth,
Mm.
and I was working, volunteering there for over a year. It was a wonderful music program, and I was hoping to use them as a case study to look at how such a community music program had effects on these participants. But of course, right, it was about a year ago during the pandemic. I was in the middle of writing, my proposal, and then the pandemic happened.
Mm.
And obviously, programs as such, can no longer, are shut down. They have other priorities, totally understandable. But I really had to start thinking about my own research because I'm running out of time. I'm going to be in year 5 next year. So I studied, okay, how can I still look at community music without a face-to-face
Yeah.
part, which is very difficult to do. But because of the pandemic, there's been so many projects that have been happening online. It's crazy, and so many people are trying to think of new and inventive ways to make music online, which is so fascinating. And so I think people need to hear about that. I am looking at Canada for now. I'm looking at 3 case studies in Canada, but they are all very different. They all touch on different populations. So some with retirement homes, some with individuals with disabilities, some with young children. So I'm trying to get a unique population to see how it can be done in different contexts. And really what I mean by music making is a lot of people often think of music in one way, right? Where it's
Mm.
like you all sit down, everyone has an instrument, and everyone is being taught by one person how to, make music. That's one way, and that's great. But there's many ways that music can be part of an education or community setting. We often don't think about how just speaking about music is a communal and educational experience. Listening to music, sharing different music, discussing, who made this music, what is its history, what is its cultural significance, does it have, a history to it? That itself is also a very rich way to engage in music community and education settings. There's also, I'm a very big supporter of creating your own instruments from home
Mm.
objects, right? That's something that's been done for the pandemic, as you've seen people making these little videos of how to teach you how to, you don't want to make drums, you can make them with your own pots and pans. You
Yeah.
can make music in different ways. You can experiment with sounds in different ways. So there's many ways to go about music creation and music engagement. And that's also what I'm trying to break with my work, is that we can look at music in many different ways. And that's what the pandemic has also taught us, right?
Yeah.
Remember all
Definitely.
those videos when Italy was first in their big lockdown, all those videos went viral of people on their balconies playing
I
music
remember
with each
that.
other and singing. And then some people would bring out their DJ set and
Yeah.
would play music. And that, if anything, the pandemic has shown us the value of the socialness of music, right? That there's this important social connection that music brings us in a variety of ways that is really important to look at.